Welcome, everyone. I am Will with the Will Podcast, sponsored by Devore Capital. And this morning, we want to jump into real quick the problem with the housing market. And specifically, we're going to talk about Jacksonville, Florida. So stick around for a few minutes. I want to share this article with you that came out through Redfin. A couple weeks back, and I happened to miss it, but it came across my desk this morning, and it's really interesting to see what is happening with the real estate market in the country. Obviously, we know property values have increased considerably over the last couple of years. We know interest rates are higher than they were, say, pre pandemic or even during the pandemic. But what we had take place is back in June, 56,000 home purchases were canceled, which equals about 15% of the homes that went under contract. This article goes on to say that a lot of these contracts, they were canceled, not necessarily for big issues, but for minor issues, as people are paying more than $400,000 for a median house in this country. They're wanting things to be pristine. They're not looking to buy a piece of real estate that they're going to have to put a whole bunch of money in. Interest rates are high, property values are high across the nation, depending on where you live. You need 120,000 annual income plus just to be able to think about getting into what many people this day and age would consider a starter home, which is a financial burden for many people. So looking at here, as we get down, so we're talking about 15% of the homes they went under contract. They dropped out for the month of June. That was one of the highest contract cancellations in the last previous few months. And then here's where you can see the median home sales price rose 4% year over year to a record number of $442,000. I'm going to highlight that there for you. $442,000 was the median sales price of a home in June. Interest rates have kind of calmed down a little bit to a 6.92. Down a little bit from the 7.06 from the prior month, but it's still, higher than what people are used to. And that's one thing that we don't talk about nearly as often is there's a lot of people that may want to sell, may be looking to transition from one location to another location, but they just can't walk away from a 3% interest rate. So I've personally talked to people that have passed up on higher higher paying job opportunities in other markets, but they don't want to leave their 3% mortgage. So they are foregoing the increase in income because they know that no matter what they do when they sell this property and they go buy another one, the increase in the annual income is just going to be washed out by the higher purchase price and the higher interest rate. So they're just staying where they're at. Now, what is that going to look like for individuals as their careers progress in the future? I don't know. But as we look here, so let's jump back to 2012. So 2012, the median home price was just over $150,000. Here we are in 2024 at $442,000. There has been a significant increase in property values, in taxes, and interest rates since that time. But what has not increased in a comparable rate is incomes. We all know that. So let's jump down a little bit further here. I want to take a look at where are these contracts getting canceled at. So there were three of the top five places: Orlando, Jacksonville, and Tampa. So three of the top five cities where these contracts are getting canceled was happening in the state of Florida. So if you remember, pandemic started. Florida was the refuge. This was where people just flocked into, 1,500, 2,000 people a day were moving to Florida to get away from some of the things that were happening in other cities and other states. So now that they're here, Homeowners insurance has started to increase. Property taxes has started to increase. There's even a thing here, the additional assessments that are being put on condo associations and condo buyers are making it very unaffordable to move into a condo for many buyers, and it's really unfortunate, as Florida was once a place, a destination, not for people just to come to for vacation, but for people to come and actually live life and have freedom in their life. But things have happened and things have changed that now people are starting to now leave Florida again. And with Orlando, Tampa, and Jacksonville. Jacksonville was actually 20.5% of the homes in Jacksonville that were under contract were canceled. As a Jacksonville based company, we do general construction, roofing, and we are also a real estate broker. So, what this tells me, when these contracts are getting canceled at a very high rate, 20.5% is pretty high. There's a couple of things that I think of right away. Is one, was the home not walk through properly to identify any potential issues? So if you are finding yourself, like, hey, I'm going to sell my home and I want to get top dollar for it, then you have to have a top dollar product. And if your agent that is helping you sell your home is just looking to get the listing with the hopes that whatever sticks on the wall is going to stick, we're not in that market anymore. We have to be strategic and smart about what we are doing when we are trying to sell a home. So what we got here, we have homes that are not in pristine condition, but we want pristine value, and we know that the prices are already inflated, and now we are adjusting our sales price probably at a point to where they're too high. Does that make sense? Right? We already have a high price. We understand what the average, what the median income is in Jacksonville, Duval County, Northeast Florida area. And we know that it's not 120,000 plus a year. Like, we know that, and we're putting these homes on the market at at 400, 450, $500,000, and it reduces the pool of individuals that can purchase that property. So some of us, you need to put your house on the market for those dollar amounts, because one, that is the true appraised value, or that's just what you need to get out of it without losing a lot of money. But we have to be careful that we are not listing prices at a value that has more greed associated with it than economic data and facts about what's happening in our community. Because to have 20.5% of the homes in Duval County and Jacksonville that were canceled for the month of June is a high number. And I think that number we're going to see in July and August is probably going to be equally as high. Schools are getting ready to start back up here in a couple of weeks. The urgency to move before school starts has passed, so I don't think you're going to see a lot of people jumping into a buy now, buy quick edition. um, and also the cost of homeowners insurance. Right, we just had a hurricane hit the state of Florida. Luckily, thank God that it was a low impact storm, Category 1, dropped down to a tropical storm relatively quickly, but it did produce a rain event, and there was a lot of water, and there was lots of flooding in those things. So that's going to make it increasingly difficult right now for new home buyers to find insurance. As these claims start to roll in with the water damage and the roof damage and those things, the insurance companies are going to be very particular on who they insure, what areas they insure in. And if you do get a policy during this time of year, it's probably not a far stretch of reality to think that you're going to pay a little bit more than if you were to purchase this property back in January. So my thoughts are, once we get through 2025 or 2024 and we see what happens with the election and we get out of hurricane season, then I think we're going to start to see homes sell at a little bit of a faster clip. And as they get ready to as we get ready to get into the new year, I think you're going to start seeing the homes, sell at a faster rate. But I think we are going to enter into a stagnant market over the next couple of months. I may be wrong, but if you are searching for a real estate agent and you are in the Northeast Florida area, we would love to help you. See your home, at least give you an accurate assessment on what your home can sell for, and an estimate on how long we think in this market that it would take. So if there's anything that we can do for you here at DeVore Capital, we are interested in meeting with you and talking with you and see what we can do. But I just want to encourage everyone just to do not live by fear and do not live by greed. Analyze the data, see what's happening in the market, and set reasonable expectations for what you're going to do with your property, what you're going to do with your families, because there's a lot going on in the world right now. And if we are not aware of what is happening, we can get caught up and get suppressed by the world and the depression that can come with needing to get a dollar amount that we're just not able to get, or you have it under contract and then somebody drops out at the last minute. And that happens a lot for a multitude of reasons. But there are ways that you can mitigate the exposure, mitigate your time on the market, and mitigate the buyers backing out as you're trying to sell this property. So keep all of that in mind and understand that if you are trying to buy in the state of Florida right now, I think if you're buying, you have a little bit more control into the transaction process with what's happening right now. Obviously, you need to see if you can even afford to live in the state of Florida, because like I said before, as people are leaving the state, because the affordability rate has went down. It's not as easy to afford to live in the state of Florida as it once was. So with that being said, be smart, be aware, keep an eye on the data, consult a brokerage that is going to help you from start to finish, and do not let yourself be caught up by fear of what's happening in the world. Just be smart, be aware, and be blessed. Take care.